Good morning. It's Bill with Bill's Never Ending Projects. I've got this 31cc yards machine here, and I've taken the four number 20 Torx head screws out. These with the Torx head deal, and I took the cover off. Be right there. I want to take the engine off because I'm gonna look at the coil. I don't think I'm getting any spark. I've pulled the rewind way more times than anybody should. I've pulled it about 50 times at different times, 5 or 10 here and 5 or 10 there. I kept trying things, and I took the spark plug out a couple times, and it's always got fuel on it. And I did the fuel last year. I went through here. See these new hoses? I went through the carburetor. I put a new fuel filter in it. The only problem with this gas tank is it's split right here. And I tried melting some of the plastic together. It worked for a while until I pumped the primer. And just the pressure from pumping the primer opened it back up again when I was priming it. But that's not the reason it's not starting, because there's no spark, obviously, because usually if you got compression, you got fuel, you got spark, and it sparks in the right spot, it's going to start. So I had to take the carburetor off here because the accelerator comes through it. This cable goes through this plastic, and the only well, maybe you can get it through there, but I didn't know that, because obviously it's off now. So obviously, if you have a better look once you get it loose, yeah, there's room to put it through there if you take your time and look at that. Yeah, I should order a new gas tank for it. So now the only thing left hooking to the motor is the kill switch. And we're gonna find out how to get that off once I take this clamp off here to pull it off. This has a drive shaft in it that's flexible. I know because I lost one once in the garden. It wasn't until almost 10 years later I found it. It came to the surface because I plow it each year. Dirt goes under. Then the next year you plow it under again, and dirt that's at the bottom comes up, and it keeps changing places. And after 10 years, all of a sudden there it was on top, and I picked it up one time, but 10 years later it's no good anymore. It's all rusty. So this is that flexible drive shaft. So when you take this clamp off, possibly with a 10, yeah, it's going to turn. And the reason this thing is not falling, I wouldn't suggest doing this, but I put a vice grip on one of the tines. That's why it's keeping it up there, because when I'm working on the motor, it's right at my hyphen. So I'm going to get this clamp off. It seems to be a nut here on the back side. So I'm going to get a wrench and hold that and get this motor off. I'll bring you back. Turned out to be a Phillips here on top. So I got this plenty loose here. So I'll leave it run while I lift it up. Listen, this Phillips screw. It's not a Phillips. Another one of those 20 Torx heads, I'm guessing. They kind of look like a Phillips when you don't get right on top and stare at them. Okay, here's the engine. Now to see how this side cover comes off. There's the wire that's still hooking, so I can't come down and put it on the table. There's the engine number right there. Okay, so I guess I could take the vice grip off this rototiller and lower it down flat, and then I could just lay it. Yeah, then I could just lay it, but I'm gonna have to move all these. This stuff out of the way. I suppose I could go to the other side of the table. Of course, this motor's just dangling here now. See how much. See how I can get this motor down. I got so much wire here. There, it's on the ground here. I'm guessing it's like a lawnmower where the coil, the modern type of coil that has transistors in it, a coil is a transformer. It's got the, like a transformer works, if you know anything about electricity and transformers, there's a big winding of wires inside of it going around some steel or a magnet or whatever, I don't know, steel. And then there's a barrier in between. Then there's a thinner wire where it's many more turns, 10 times many more turns, long. And from the main windings to the second windings, that's what makes a transformer work, and it either boosts up current or lowers it down, and in this case it boosts it up to a big jolt that grounds out at the spark plug, giving your spark. And I'm not getting any spark, so we're going to check to see if there's corrosion between the coil pack and the frame, or since this is the new kind, it would just be bad because it's got transistors on it. So let me get my Torx head 20, and let's start taking the bottom of the motor off here. I'll put it on this screwdriver handle because none of them are all that tight. Okay, so what do I do? Take off the ones all the way around the red cover and leave this one, because that might be the rewind. Yeah, I think I'll go that route. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make this quicker, I could put this on my electric drill and just buzz them off, because I happen to have an eighth inch adapter on here. Whoop, got it tight. It's 2, 3. I think I said there were 5, so a couple left. Must not getting it on straight or something. Whoa, super tight. Cheers. Must have been a factory one, or a cross-threaded one. Or somebody torqued it, actually. I've never done this. Everyone just has spark. Get the spark plug wire off. Now this little cover's coming off. Another thing I'll have to figure out how to put back on. There's the kill wire. They always say, first thing you do is pull off the kill wire. Then you can... Oh geez. It's got 2 wires. And that's what it has up there. It works like a normal switch. It has a wire coming in and a wire coming out. So I don't know if it matters which is which. So I guess I'll put some yellow paint on this wire and right there. That way, in case it matters, I'll put the same one back on. I looked on the internet, and everybody that had one that didn't start like mine before, it was the carburetor and gas lines. But I went through that last year. Okay, now that wire's marked. I suppose before I pull this rewind off, I could pull that off to make sure it's not the switch on the handlebars. Get a needle nose here. Of course, now there's no, it's not mounted, so I don't know if I can pull the rewind or not. But here comes, there. One's easy to get, and the other one is buried by that cover. I took all the screws out, but if I want to pull it to see if there's spark now, probably taking one wire off would do it, because it goes up to the switch, so the switch can't ground it. The switch can't ground it and complete the circuit to ground it if one wire is unhooked. Maybe I'll get my spark tester and put it in there and see if I can turn it over a little. See if I can turn it over a little to see any spark, but usually small engines, it's always so weak you can't really see it outside unless you're in a dark room. Never know. And I don't even know if that's true, but I've had trouble trying to see it with these little spark testers they sell. And then it's going to be really goofy without my foot on it. I think I probably would just touch the wire. Oh well, it's one way to do it. I will just touch the wire here and get the big jolt. Nothing. Okay, let's continue taking it apart. Okay, I decided to take my shoes off since they're tennis shoes and stand on a piece of cardboard there. I mean, I'm not standing on the dirt, but then I got a little, I mean, really pulling it, not even when I just went a little way, but when I really pulled it, kept vigorously doing it, I got a little weak spark. So that's not right. You need a jolt, like a jolt you get from touching an electric fence on a farm by accident. So I'm going to continue to take it apart and see if I can strip one off another motor and put it on here and that'll solve it, or if it's a grounding problem, or order a new one or whatever. Okay, the next step here is I got the screws out of this. As far as I know, I got them all, and it turns, but it won't pull off. It could be something to do with these four. I mean, it could be. Something to do with inside here. It's not pulling off, it's just turning. But there's that. There it is. There's the modern day coil pack that has transistors in it that doesn't need points. So I'm getting close to it. I'll put it on pause till I figure out how to pull this off. I mean, I almost can get at that thing, but I want to see a flywheel. I want to see the gap between the flywheel. Okay, using this fat little socket for the 20 is a mistake, because getting something like this, it brushes up against that and makes you go crooked. So now I've went and got a straight one. And if I haven't stripped them yet, I'll be able to get those out. And if I have, now I'll spend all kinds of time. So now I have this little cover off. Yeah, that's the way to do it, this thing. Forget using a socket. This went straight on, went all the way in, and even some that I almost stripped, it took it right out. And they were tight. So now I've got that cover off. Okay, the reason this red thing won't pull off, it's got this thing. I've written something on here. I've written 13 1/4 turns. I have no idea what that means. Well, I'm going to have to get some information and figure out. I'm going to have to get some info and figure out what we got here. I have no idea. It's a stop sign for me. Well, with luck, I decided just to go the next size smaller because I tried the one I had. And it went in the hole, and it caught something, and I thought, huh, maybe I'll try turning it. And it seemed like it came loose, and I turned it and turned it and turned it. And it stays in there. And then this cover came off. There's this little washer on there I can see right now. And now we got that showing. So now I'm going to look at it further to see if the red cover will come off, or if that spring thing stops you from taking it off. Okay, this is what I'm going to try. I'm going to try putting this extension in there by the piston to stop it from turning down. That'll make it so I could, if I'm acting like this is a nut, like on any small motor, this is a nut. This whole thing would be like a nut on a small motor to get at the points on an old motor, you know, to get it, to see the flywheel. So I'll leave this run here maybe. And I'm going to try to loosen that now with these big channel locks. Loosened right away. Okay, so now I should get that washer off there so I don't lose. There's that little washer. Great, won't come off the end. Now what do I gotta know? I reckon something to try to get it off. I think there is a little bevel there. Like, what? Like this is never supposed to come off and it would just keep it on there for you? Well, now I can get at the coil, because this turns now. It has enough room to turn. It doesn't look like there's any flywheel. Oh, there it is. It must be this spin thing here that's turning here. This thing in there. Right in there. That thing. Well, I don't see no magnet. I don't see no magnet to turn. Oh, there it is. I see it. There it is right there. There's the magnet. It just stuck to my Torx head. Doesn't seem to be rusty. Let me see if there's too much gap or something. Wow, it does seem to be a lot of gap. Okay, well, I'm going to pause it again here and clean up my hands and try to figure out if this washer is supposed to come off so I can see things better or what. And then I'm going to see if this thing just needs gap to get a spark, or if I'm going to steal one off another rototiller that's junk. And then in that case, that'll take me a good half an hour to go get that and strip it off. I'm just going to try emery clothing it off. definitely some kind of a bevel on there. Ah, came right off. Okay, so now I can finish taking the cover off. Some kind of a stop washer there. And the spring doesn't come unwound or nothing. You just take the cover off. So now I'm down to the flywheel. And no, I don't see how the flywheel comes off in these. It's not like 4-stroke motors. Once everything's off, it doesn't just pull off, it seems. Or does it? I don't know. But I'm more interested in that pickup. I'm more interested in changing out this ignition module. So I'm gonna undo this ignition module with probably the 20 Torx head, and then tear down my junk one and get that one, because that one quit because it blew up. Nothing to do with the ignition module, but that don't mean it hasn't gone bad while it's sitting. But I'm gonna try that.